But on a more serious note, you said the whole be a man. You and your best friend Jared, who I also know, are trying to figure out how to be men. And I know, Jared just got married. He's expecting, and I'm coming for you with this next question. But throughout this conversation, we've been, and everybody's going to answer this question. Cut it out, JR. But we've been talking about social expectations, whether men should talk, whether men should go to therapy. Then you have to be a man, whatever that means. And someone can answer that in your reply to what I'm about to ask. But how do we as friends, family members, help you all through this process? Because all this weight is on you from what you all are saying, and you're balancing it in your head. Although we have people on the couch who are in therapy figuring it out whether they want to or not, I've heard a lot of, I'm figuring it out on me. So how do your counterparts help you? What do you need from us?
First thing that came to mind was check your ignorance. Check your own ignorance. Because again, this idea of when I said being a man with my boy Jared, it's more of like just what are the expectations and how do we navigate and move throughout these expectations? Because so he found out that he's gonna have a son, right? So we're thinking about, he's like, oh man, we just thought about like how it's going to be communicating with this young boy, how to navigate in the work, because there's so many dualities and things. Like you could have I don't care what society thinks, but there's still, none of us is an island. So there's certain things you have to deal with. And as we are trying to figure this out, there's a lot of things that, as we're on this journey trying to figure this out, sometimes people can come from a very ignorant standpoint that can throw us off the course. So the thing that helps me a lot, and again, since I've been doing therapy for a long period of time and blah, 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 and I've always just been working on myself, there's just certain things that people are going to say that I'm like, that's just, you're coming from a very ignorant place, and I don't feel like I can talk to you about this. So the number one thing that anyone could do around me to help me just even feel comfortable talking to you about stuff while I'm on this journey to figure out masculinity or manhood is check your own ignorance, because we live in a sexist, patriarchal society. We're all affected by it. So we're all going to take on these nuanced, dumbass things that doesn't really help us in the first place.
Right. And I really want you to answer. No, I want you to answer because, I know you are a husband and you are a father. And so you're not saying, this is not saying that no one else is not dealing. I just want to get this perspective for fathers and husbands out there who, have to answer to a wife. Well, you know what I mean by answer. But meaning that you can't just disappear and not have an answer. You have you have a kid, so you can't. I mean, there are people.
Like that's not what you meant.
That is what I meant.
I feel like there's an agenda here.
No, it's not an agenda. I just, and then we can go back to Jay and Aries about their answer. But, how can your family support you on your journey, even though they need you?
Well, I'm going to try and interpret your question in a different way. It's bigger than me, right? Like you mentioned entrepreneurship, right? Once you get in a role where you serve others, like, it's beyond you. So, even with my little guy, like everything I'm doing is for him in a way, right? I mean, there's some for me too. Like there's a validation piece in there and, that I'm good at things and so forth and so forth. But it is bigger than me. So that gives me solace, right? Now, to circle back in terms of what others can do for me, it's just give me time. Give me a quiet space where like everyone knows how I reset myself. And I even said it here, right? Not giving me time to reset myself, you're not going to get the 110% I give every day I wake up if you don't give me my time to reset, right? The other thing too is like respect goes a very long way, right? So I don't need to hear words of affirmations or whatever the love languages are
Mhm.
and all of that. I don't really need to hear it, but I do need to feel that there's a level of respect in the household, at work, client, you name it,
Mhm,
right? Because I'm going to be given that.
mhm,
So in terms of what I would need on a daily basis is really that quiet time, that time to allow me to really get down to my core so that I can be better than for the people who need me to be better than myself,
mhm,
right? Uh, I would say that that would be the main. I mean, there's other core beliefs that a man would have, but in theory, I got there because I did a self awareness journey,
mhm,
right? And there's books from Malcolm Gladwell. I know we talked about a couple of them
mhm,
and so forth. But I needed to do that for me first before I could even think about settling down in marriage and procreation and everything else. I had to. It was a really painful journey for sure, but it took me a year and a half to kind of really get to the core of who I am. And then the best part about it is that we're constantly evolving. So as I
mhm.
think
I
I
love
figured
that.
myself out, I'm like, ah, you
I
know,
love that.
there's something else that's changing and moving, and I got to make sure that I catch up to it and be that because other people are relying on me.
Mm. I love.
Stop, stop,
I
stop,
just
stop.
I had to snap because we are always evolving, and after this, there's still a process.
To answer the question about, and I loved everything you said just now. Um, to answer the question, it for me at least, I realized that. So like, I'll contextualize it. So in November of last year, I got laid off because I was working at a tech company, real estate company, both industries that were kind of bleeding
Hmm.
at the same time, and I was feeling this like weight on my chest, and I was like, "What is it? Like, why do I care that I got laid off?" Outside, obviously, outside the obvious stuff, like you start feeling like, was I not good enough? Did I not perform? It felt like I hit my goals, et cetera, et cetera. And then I realized that it had to do with one, not making the same mistakes of people of the past that I grew up with. And then number two, which is maybe the biggest one, was I realized that my self-worth was tied too strongly to my ability
Mhm.
to
Earn.
provide,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And as soon as my vehicle to providing was gone,
Mhm,
my self-worth went in the
Plummets.
toilet.
mhm,
And I met this like the like yesterday. Me and my girl, we was walking through Bed Bath and Beyond, no, Burlington, and we were by the pillows, and I said it out loud, that statement. Oh, I think my self-worth is tied to my ability to provide.
Mhm.
I just start crying,
mm,
right?
Wow.
mm.
And yeah,
It be your own friends.
I
It be your
he's
own
holding it in.
friends.
I am
He's holding it in, right?
like
Oh
a
Um,
bitch.
man.
I was a
Why? Exactly why I don't listen to society.
Oh,
like,
But-
you know you're my man.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
fucking with you,
But
bro.
like that, I was like, it was so like I felt the pain and everything leave my body at that moment because I
Mhm.
realized it, right? And I knew the root cause, which I won't get into now, but like I knew the root cause, and I was like, bet. Okay, cool. So I needed to go on a healing journey that allowed me to separate my finances from my self-worth.
Mhm.
Mm,
And I was unemployed for 3 months, and it was a very revealing 3 months. And it showed me who my people were in that moment, and I'm good now, healthy right now. But what I needed is exactly what my girl gave me at the time. She gave me room to fail. Whether you fail
mm.
or you succeed, I'm gonna love you anyway.
Ooh,
fair.
that was
Right?
good.
Fair.
I'm gonna love you anyway. I'm gonna just say this really quick tidbit, and it made me cry again. She came to my house, and my birthday wasn't till March, but she came over in like, let's say January or something like that. And I'm still looking for a job at this time. And I was having a really rough day. She came over, she had a box in her hand. And she's like, I was gonna wait for your birthday, but I wanted to give you something now since you had a little bit of a rough day. And I opened it. And as I was opening, she said, "Do you remember like when you were about to you felt like the layoff was coming at your old job and you went into this sneaker store and you were like, nah, let me not buy this sneakers. It's a little too expensive because if I buy it now and I get laid off, I'm gonna be tight." I opened the box and I see it's the sneaker that I wanted. And I get teary-eyed even thinking about it because it was that moment of, I'm gonna love you at the lowest point in your life.
Right.
And that is what we need,
Mm.
in my opinion.
Right.
I love that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. No, seriously though.
Yeah.
Just the
That's
thoughtfulness
That
piece
was
goes a
good.
long way.
That's hard to
No,
that's
seriously.
that's a
Right.
thing that
Like,
doesn't
that means
happen,
you
bro.
listen.
Right.
Like,
That's
Real
right.
tears.
yeah.
Real tears.
No,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like
Oh,
giving me
yeah.
room to fail is like a lot of the time, especially you as a man in a relationship, you married, so you probably have a different perspective. But like, I feel like I don't, and from my experiences, I haven't had like room where just like that. If I fuck up, I fuck up. Like it's okay.
Right.
And like I'm not gonna ruin your life or nothing like that.
Right.
But like,
Right.
damn, and get laid off. You can't control that. Like you
Right.
can't do. So it's sometimes you feel like you can't, talk to someone with the armor now, or without
Yeah.
the shield or something.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful that this queen was able to do that for you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
shout outs
it.
to her.
Shout out Ty.
Got some points.
You definitely got points for that.
Right.
You definitely got points for that.
Right.
Oh, no, for sure. For sure.
That room to fail, I think
Yeah, they're fun.
that really was like, that's major. So like my whole thing is all of that.
Mm.
Like literally all of that. Be patient with me, give me room to fail. My thing would be release me from your expectation.
Mm.
Because I may not be who you expect me to be in that moment.
Mm. Woo.
Or at least communicate it,
Come
right?
on now.
That's
At least be
good.
aware of what the expectation is.
And be
Yeah.
because
100%.
I think and I've had this a lot of times where it's like growing up in a Christian household,
Mm.
and growing up, my mom, she I love you. She don't play when it like when it comes to, the word and everything like that. And so it was always, well, you know better, right? You're a leader, not a follower. You're a leader, not a follower. And so that expectation was there. And so because that was the expectation, I didn't feel comfortable coming to you and sharing with you.
Mm.
Same thing when it comes to friends. If they expect me to always be that go-to person, the expectation is you're strong.
The strong friend.
And so when I'm vulnerable, it's like, yo, what you crying for? Yo, man, you got the answer. Why is you sitting there? But it's like, yo, I don't always have the answer.
Right.
Like I need you to be patient with me in this moment because in this moment I'm failing.
Mm.
And I need you to say, yo, it's okay to fail. Just make sure you learn from it. Versus holding that against me. And, holding it over my head or saying, yo, this is the expectation. I need you to live up to it.
Right. Wow. Well, we've run out of time, but thank you guys. I really, really appreciate this. And I think we need to do a part 2.
Yeah.
Pay for my flight.
Spirit.
Be in the fucking flight.
Frontier.
Listen, if we want to film, if we want to film in LA, I'm here for that too.
I mean,
listen,
hello.
hello.
So you could pay for my flight.
Yes.
Greyhound.
I love that. I love that.
Man, shout out to WTF
LA would be actually
Studios,
smooth.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
This is
got
a nice
one in. They
studios.
got one in LA.
Okay, yeah.
It's a nice
Yeah.
studio.
Appreciate it.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man. Let's
great.
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.